Today I'll be talking about two topics. One is sort of like related to a conversation I had with someone last night, but it's what I wrote about some years ago about various, we call them past life, but in Hebrew it's called Gilgul, the cycles. So these are like attachments, patterns, things that I'm working out in this life that seem to be related to like either another life or someone I used to be, whether it's a previous life in this lifetime or another. So I'll start here, and then I would also be sharing about emotions from Karen Monteverdi. So I needed to be a Jew in this life. I have they're gonna be like words like starving, left someone behind, dignity, I honor the light in you, namaste, not wanting to give birth, artist attachment, not wanting too much attention on me, black, maybe more were others. There was a dancing woman on a boat that I remember it ended quickly. Have to tell the truth, was an old man once who felt safe with an elderly woman. Maybe I was a seducer, a man. Drowned or something happened under the water. I felt like maybe I was a shark, or maybe I was another vision, like I was shot when I was going in the water. With people fishing, and there was a guy I was wearing overalls or something, connected to Jesus, feelings about pedophilia and rape, strong adversive judgments, Nazi Germany, Egypt, a good childhood, maybe dying as a baby. They called me a big fat pig, being a light worker, competitive, jealous. And I learned that ein davar omed lifnei ratzon, nothing will stand before the will. That's when we see our experiences and challenges as God-given, and when we're brought to the lowest, to awaken the will to fight for the truth, not against anything. And when we do like these past life regressions, like we go into a deep state where we feel like not too attached to the living being we are, and rather like opening, we can set ourselves up with things to work on in this life. So that was that. And now I'm going to share from Karen Monteverdi about emotions. So the ego is a barometer of information. Emotions are messengers, and hidden messages are in the emotional language. There's something called vasanas, which are like tendencies and patterns, and they're bundled into samskaras, which are called patterns. This is just another language. I'm not sharing about any other religion other than Judaism. And when we look at our thoughts, our emotions, then we move in, we look at our judgments, then we can look at our desires, and then we can see our actions. This is the work. Our associations are how we're identifying. This is like when we're non-liberated, because the happiness is inside. It's like, the perception of curiosity, when the negative affects the ego is seen, there's signs of being an ego that include like feelings and language of blame, shame, judgment, domination, guilt, disproportionate need to compete. And this is obviously all, like we said, non-liberated. They all have to do with how we're identifying and our associations. But this is also the opportunity to take 100% responsibility, which does lead to ease and decisiveness, and everyone empowered. When we change our habits, we have to first want to change. Then we notice how it feels after. Then we have to notice sooner. Then we can even notice during it. And then we notice before it happens. And then we notice in advance. And this process is, we are changing vulnerability from like insecurity, vulnerability, like back and forth. Through this change, it leads to being in process. And fear is what stops us, slows us down. We can find the trigger point and ask, is this true? But remember, nothing can really hurt us. Everything's inside of us, so we can protect ourselves more than anyone else can. We are the expert. We are an expert on ourselves, each one. We can ask, why is this my perspective? When we ask ourselves first the question, is this a perspective problem? And if it's not true, like we said, like the fear, like, is this true? If it's not true, then ask, what would I rather believe? So tools are different for everyone, but things that like meditating or like self-hypnosis, creative visualizations, imagining, writing signs, putting up signs around, and we can keep telling ourselves, like with the affirmation, I'm the expert on me. I can let parts of me be trustworthy that weren't trustworthy before. We can rely on the internal process instead of the external, and all the manifested things have two sides. There's a positive attraction and a negative repulsion. There's different degrees of the same energy field. So lack, abundance, heat and cold are both temperature, hate and love. In the middle is like and dislike. So emotion is the energy in motion. It's possible to change our state from one to the other, because it's still that energy. And we can see the original agreements to no longer keep affirming or protecting or upholding them, like about things in our life, about ourselves. And then we can go deeper and say, well, where do I need to gain trust? We can align with the highest good in us and in each of us, like in me, in you, and for all. When we change our journey by changing our agreements, we can accept what is today, for it brought me here. And getting creative about unlocking the treasures versus staying in the upset, which maintains and sustains the negativity that's in the mind and the body. We can find ways to love every moment and recognize all moments as pathways for growth. It may seem impossible during certain moments, but if we have the underlying agreement that it's always possible, it becomes possible for us. And obviously, because this is the topic of emotions, we are letting emotions flow in and out in healthy ways. We can thank the ego for alerting us to the intrusions and take charge by coming from empowerment, expressing boundaries with love and kindness instead of expecting others to mind read or not letting the other have space to give feedback to the expectation. And life expression is available for us to experience. We are experiencing life as an expression of life. And God, or like the spirit, sometimes they used to call it the ether, like the invisible, like the field, the vortex of all knowledge of all that exists in the universe, have unique pathways of information coming to the subconscious and the higher self. So joy, bliss, total acceptance, love, beauty, harmony, truth and trust, inspiration, confidence, creativity, insight, the all experiences its own consciousness and awareness through us. Wishing you well. Have a blessed day. Bye.